Warwick, most of you know me. Lived in the community for a long time, and I've known Mary for a while. I was asked to be the MC, honored to take up that task today, and I'm happy to be sharing this memorial with you, and this celebration, really. One thing you'll note on the back of your programs, lovely programs that were done for us by longtime community member Denora Melendez. There's places that were near and dear to Mary's heart, where if you want to donate funds at some point, you may want to consider those organizations if you'd like to make a donation in her name. As we get started, Mary was not a religious person. She always said this about herself. She said, "Gene, I don't believe in God." But I don't think it was entirely true. I think she was a spiritual person in a lot of ways. So I hope that wherever she is, that she would forgive us for asking Reverend Kate Flexer to lead us in a prayer.
Well, Mary came to my installation as rector here, so she can't be totally against me. So. Mary was beloved of many people in this congregation, both for Saturday Kitchen, but also for the nitwits that gather every Sunday to knit and do more than that. And we'll hear from different parts of that, parts of her participation here today. But my job is to open us in prayer. So may God be with you. Let us pray. God of grace and glory, we remember before you this day our sister Mary. We thank you for giving her to us, her friends, to know and to love as a companion on our earthly pilgrimage. We thank you for the gifts of her life, her personality, her humor and her wit, her sharp thinking, and her giving spirit. In your boundless compassion, console us and mourn. Give us quiet confidence that we may continue our course in faith. We pray this all in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
A number of folks are going to speak this afternoon. We'll try not to speechify too much. We'll try not to carry on like politicians. But we do think that there's things we'd like to share about Mary. The first person who will be speaking will be Sally Glass, and Sally will be reading a letter from Gary Linkoff, who could not be with us today. He's the head of the New York Mycology Society. And this is a very busy time of year if you're into mushrooms.
It's off hunting him. This is from Gary, and actually the photo you have on the back of your program is a picture Gary took last year right out in front of his building. On 96th Street, the other sorry. So here we are, Gary Linkoff, May 28, 2015. Mary was a longtime member of the New York Mycological Society. She attended so many forays in our area for so many years that it seemed odd if she wasn't there. She knew so many stories about celebrities, she could have written a book, but said she was not interested. She once stopped in a taxi to give me a lift, and when I got in, I found myself sitting next to Dick Cavett. Mary enjoyed telling about the time she had coffee in a diner with Marilyn Monroe. And of course, she was a great mushroom hunter. She knew where the good mushrooms were and how to get them, and find her way out of any woods the rest of us got lost in. We all loved her, and we will miss her.
Since I had access to the program, and I get a little nervous with public speaking, I decided to put myself up next. Better get it over with so I can enjoy the other talks. I'll try not to be too long-winded, but I do have a few things I wanted to share with you about Mary. So who was Mary Wakino? As it came time to draft my remarks for today, I found myself asking that question. Mary lived to be 90. I met her a couple of decades ago through a community-based organization, a local multi-block association. I saw her quite frequently during the last 2 decades. but still wonder if I ever really knew her in the sense of understanding exactly what drove her on a really fundamental level. But I think I came to some insight on that score and would like to share with you, her friends, now. To me, there was and remains something of a mystery surrounding Mary's life. It often struck me that large portions of her life, people and events that shaped not just her past, but also her present everyday life, remained unknown to me. It strikes me that Mary moved between spheres of endeavor, choosing to engage here or there without much, I believe the word is consanguinity, between the groups. Each circle of contacts, and there were a ton, seemed separate and discrete. A bit of tangents here and there, but no dramatic intersection or overlap. It may have been a habit or just an old-fashioned desire for personal space and privacy, but keeping those of us in her life somewhat at arm's length and apart from one another also strikes me as a choice. And it seems pretty clear to me that Mary either did not want or could not share herself or her life with others unless she did so on her own terms. I think it's a tough way to live. It takes a lot of energy and vigilance. But in a world of forced intimacy and smiles, where we are encouraged to share almost compulsively, it was something about Mary that I found exhilarating. That kind of inner reserve made me jealous. Of course, this concept of the black box of half-hidden self isn't that unusual in New York. Many people migrate here to seek fortune and a new beginning. For them, the anonymity of the crowd is perfect. It's a perfect backdrop for a reconstituted self, a new persona, and a remade personal history, with the old one shed like a small town suit of clothes. I think there was something about that to Mary's life. She came here from elsewhere almost 70 years ago and made herself a real New Yorker. So who was she? The fact that you're here tells me that you knew her, or perhaps more accurately, like me, you knew about some portion of her life and maybe little else. So while we're here, and with your forbearance, I'll share a few facts I've learned about Mary's secret past. First of all, Mary was a farm girl, born in Southern California to Japanese parents, only recently settled in the United States after migrating from her dad's home in Hiroshima. You can see the implications of that had you stayed. As you see on the program, she was born in 1925. To put that in perspective, recall that Calvin Coolidge was president, the Ku Klux Klan was large and strong, the first edition of The Great Gatsby had just been published, Prohibition was in full swing, and the big party that was the 1920s for some was truly roaring. There probably wasn't much time for parties around where Mary's folks settled. By all accounts, Mary's father, who went by the English name of Henry, his young wife, talented seamstress, Ayoko, worked hard farming LA borderlands, owned by others, eventually raising chickens and at least growing prosperous enough to own a truck. They had 2 more children, sons Yoshi and Tanishi, staying put during and surviving the Great Depression when others roamed looking for work and a lost future, only to be uprooted like thousands of other Japanese Americans in the months after World War II began. They gathered, like the ill-fated others in Pomona, California, and were shipped to an internment camp in Cody, Wyoming. They arrived at Hart Mountain Facility in August 1942 and stayed for the duration of the war. Mary was a teenager. You can think back on that time in your life. Many here will likely remember that it was a time when you saw almost everything of interest as being about you and your friends. How hard it must have been for that girl whose El Monte yearbook picture you see in your program to have her world taken away. She never mentioned it to me. I doubt that she spoke of it to anyone in this room. But her surviving brother Tad remembers that of all his family members, confinement in the camp seemed to hit his sister the hardest. So it's not surprising that when the family left the camp in 1945 for Puente, California, Mary wasn't with them. She turned east, put the camp and the past squarely behind her, and very likely did not look back. That's when she came to New York. By her own admission, she made up for lost time and the constraints of her teen years and became a bit of a party girl. though she seems to have found some time to study nursing. Frequently moving between jobs, she never made a large salary, but she was able to support herself and went out for entertainment when she could and enjoyed the music of the day. Part of the reason you came into the room listening to jazz. At some point, she married a serviceman who Mary recalled as very bright and facile in languages. He would die young. She never discussed the circumstances, but hinted that he had been troubled. I don't know if her belief in aliens and UFOs came from her husband, but he, like Mary, was a believer and longed for contact. Shortly before passing, Mary revealed she still had the unfulfilled longing to see a UFO before she went. I told her I didn't believe in their existence, but felt a little wishy-washy on aliens. I joked that I thought I'd spotted a few wearing suits haunting corporate offices over the years. She shook her head at my flippant ignorance. "Jean," she shouted, "I'm telling you, they are out there." And as many of you here know, there was no arguing with Mary when she once had taken a firm position on something. I let it go. She had 2 miscarriages, but no children. She was fond of them, and as much as any adult I've ever met, she respected them as independent, sentient human beings with unique needs. Some of you here know Mary was always collecting stuff. You all know she was always collecting stuff. But she was particularly interested in picking up toys, art supplies, and books she could distribute to the young. You might say it was one of the cornerstones of what was an extensive personal recycling program. It gave her great pleasure to find a special item that a child she knew, or even one she didn't know, might really like and want. To be honest, a lot of Mary's collecting seemed a bit compulsive and almost an involuntary response. Say what you might, sometimes with a great stretch of the imagination to have it be used. But not all of it. She directed giving to children and the less fortunate through her gathering and redistribution system. It was a very thoughtful form of charity, something special to her which she found very satisfying. I respected her and her memory all the more for it. If you ask Mary about her working life, you probably know that she did have a ton of jobs, pursuing many lines of employment. I'm sure this seems curious. For a long time it puzzled me too, but Mary had an ace in the hole, a friend who had an employment agency. Though not formally diagnosed, Mary knew herself to be burdened with narcolepsy and what we now call attention deficit disorder, as well as obsessive compulsive disorder. She could focus on a job or an occupation for a while, but always found the need to move on. You know, she was bright, but in her younger days she was quick too, and fast study and mastered a variety of tasks. Permanent salary positions didn't seem to suit her. By her own admission, she grew bored too easily. So she worked here and there, hospitals and labs. She was always sharp with science, offices doing clerical work and her gal Friday assignments, clearing out summer houses in Connecticut between renters, and she walked dogs, just to name a few of her jobs. I don't know how Mary came to settle on the Upper West Side or at 410, Central Park West, but both served as her base camp for her adult life. After coming east, her brother, Tad, doesn't really recall the time when she lived elsewhere, and it was quite a life. Oh, the places you will go, the people you will meet, wrote Dr. Seuss. I'm sure others today will talk a bit about people Mary came to meet, visit, and know. I'll leave them to it. Suffice to say, she knew an astonishing number of celebrated and famous individuals. But that doesn't interest me so much. Her lifelong pursuit of learning did. School was just a springboard for her. She didn't use the burdens of the workaday world or media consumption as an excuse to shelve her intellectual pursuits. Mary was different in a lot of ways, but truly distinguished in her desire to continue exploring intellectually, picking up and enhancing skills. Minerals, herbs, mushrooms, or as Mary would have it, fungi, emerging biological science, nutrition, technology, sewing, knitting, skating, and wandering in the great outdoors were all passions at different times and avidly pursued. And though she loved jazz, the soundtrack of her youth, she didn't discount contemporary music, becoming a huge Michael Jackson fan. She She was a classic early adopter, too. She liked computers. She had a Mac and a PC. She was it was the first octogenarian I knew who set up an email account for herself and probably spent more time hanging around internet sites than any other member of her age cohort. It's not surprising. Mary was a bit of an outlier. She wasn't easily intimidated, and she didn't fear the unknown or the new. And oh yeah, she played the market. Mary, I'm sorry for revealing this, but I gotta say it. Starting with penny stocks as a kid, she moved up to blue chips, prospered, went all in with high-tech stocks in the 90s, and like others, so inclined, made and lost a bundle. But she recouped, and while she didn't die rich and was almost maddeningly thrifty, she invested well, and with what she had, that she most certainly did not die poor. Honest, I'll bet she had a lot to be fooled, but Scout's honor is the truth. I mentioned earlier that Mary's nurturing response to children, and pets too, but it would be slighting her to leave unacknowledged the help she gave others, shut-ins, the ailing, and the frail. While still able, almost, to the end of her life, Mary was always good for a grocery run or companionable television viewing for those who often had no one else. She often cared for those too weak to be left alone, sometimes sitting with the very sick for hours in silence. Not for pay, she did it because she wanted to, and it wasn't easy. It isn't easy to sit beside someone struggling for each breath, but she chose to do it. Many of us would not. Of course, Mary had her faults. She was quick to anger. As a child, the parochial school education her mother wanted for her was cut short, she told me, when she slugged a nun. I'm sure many here have run-ins with her, only to see her stomp off, or in more recent times, hobble away, cane flying, raging over some perceived slight. She was touchy, but she could be self-correcting, too, apologizing for just such an outburst just hours before her death. It isn't surprising. To me, Mary evinced some of the rugged Americanism I associate with the old cowboy pictures. The ferociously independent, unreconstructed Westerner comes to town, unwilling to accommodate fools or gossip, convinced of the infallibility of his internal compass. Maybe friction with mortals in the cheaper seats, people like us, kept little Mary going. Maybe it gave her the energy to keep moving along snow-covered streets, even at great age, or braving the rain and tardy accessoride drivers to get to her destination, whatever or wherever it might be. Bad attitude? Yeah, sometimes. But you have to admire that kind of gravel in the guts, especially in a nonagenarian, even if you thought her words and actions were ill-considered or reckless, as I sometimes did. If recalling her unwillingness to brook interference brings me delight, sue her. But Mary suffered for it too. She often went through periods when she did not speak to those who loved or cared for her and nursed grievance too long. But the important thing, I think, is that she usually did snap out of it. Not just apologizing with some slow-mo reflex, but actively reconsidering her actions enough to see the need for amends. Maybe she even spotted merit in an argument where she had seen none. Or maybe not. Mary, after all, kept her own counsel. Though she never came out and said it, I always had the impression that her fits of temper caused her as much, if not more, pain than the object of her anger. I think it represented a kind of failing to roll with the punch, to suck it up like the strong, silent types of the screen with bad behavior that diminished her in her own eyes. She wanted to set things right and threw a lot of determination at it. I saw her speak up on more than one occasion when others did not, and probably should have. To effect change, that kind of determination has legs. Maybe we could all use a little more of it. As you know, Mary lived to be 90. She was physically much depleted in her last years and often in pain. As she repeatedly told me, "Gene, I've got one foot on a banana peel." But she didn't complain much. Approaching her 90th birthday, she was pretty much still living the life she wanted. Like most of us, she faced hurdles, though she did not speak of it, or of them. I surmise that the discrimination she had encountered as a Japanese American, living through a wave of great anti-Japanese sentiment, affected her deeply. In our last face-to-face conversation, over hazelnut coffee, of course, she reflected on the matter a bit. She said, you know, things have improved, but there's still a lot of prejudice out there. It wasn't an assessment being bitterness or a banal statement of what to many of us would seem obvious. They were words of measured reflection, a statement of the union. Injustice troubled her very deeply. Perhaps she thought it important that I and others be reminded, lest we forget to share her discontent. The printed program today is largely the work of an artist, Nora Matthias Melendez, but I chose the T.S. Eliot quote from East Coker, one of the poems from his four quartets. Eliot was a Christian and believed in an afterlife. Mary wasn't, didn't, at least not that I know. Still, I think it's appropriate here because in her, and I do think you can see who Mary Wakino was all along, from the beginning. She died alone in her apartment. Some might think that's sad, but she lived on her own terms and in her own way up to the end. How many of us will be able to say that? And you know, I wasn't surprised that when they found her, it was reported that she had a smile on her face. So who was Mary Wakino? Well, we know this. She was quite a woman, and I feel grateful to have been invited to share a place in her world. Thank you.